Peace, family. Welcome to another episode of Underground Railroad Productions. This your host, Brother Rich. Introduce yourself, brother. Tell them why you got that sign and why you out here today.
Hey, how you doing, brother, man? My name is Eric Hamilton from Detroit, Michigan, living in Brooklyn, man. And I'm here to support a brother who's been supporting us, right? Colin Kaepernick has been standing and kneeling, he's been kneeling for us all this year, all last year. So I'm here to support a brother who's been supporting us all last year. You know what I'm saying? That's why I'm here. And that's why I make this sign.
Let me ask you a question, brother. It seems to me that George Foreman was the latest celebrity to come out and criticize Kaepernick for his protest kneeling during the national anthem. Why does it seem like we live in a culture where everybody praises our dead heroes, but our heroes that are alive, they condemn them? So we have a society that hated Muhammad Ali while he was alive, they hated Tupac while he was alive, they hated Martin, they hated Malcolm, they hated Jesus while he was alive. But as soon as these people die, they love and appreciate them. And we're seeing that with Kaepernick. He's doing the same thing these brothers did, but because he's alive, he's condemning them. Why is it that we live in a culture like that, brother?
Man, you know what? It goes back to being anything controversial, right? Anything present day controversial is condemned by, you know, people who, I guess, don't have the proper view, right? So you think about, you mentioned Muhammad Ali during Vietnam. He protested a war, the Vietnam War. At the time, in 1966, I believe it was, when he protested the Vietnam War, it was unpopular to do so. Here it is 50 years later, and you know, we see that Muhammad Ali was on the right side of history. What it boils down to is people in the present not being able to take themselves out of the moment to understand the importance of what these brothers are representing, right? So in 2017, if you are a brother who protests police brutality, the masses aren't seeing that. A lot of folks don't see that. So you got some sellouts. You got George Foreman. You got Michael Vick. You got Steve Harvey. You got a lot of folks out there, some modern day coonery going on, who are not down with the cause. And that's all right, because you got brothers like yourself, you got the speakers tonight, you got a lot of people who are supporting Colin Kaepernick. And going back to what I said originally is, I'm supporting a man who supported me. That's what it's about.
Do you contribute that to the rat race that we live in? Everybody's in survival mode. Do you feel like that's the main purpose? So many people are cooning. We're all in survival mode, and everybody's thinking about their, you know, how they're going to survive.
You know, it's some of that. It's survival mode, and it's kind of a dog-eat-dog mentality, and it's also people who just don't see the full scope of their actions, right? If somebody could take themselves out of the situation and actually see that the actions, these coonery actions, are hurting us, you know what I'm saying? I'm sure back in 1817, them coons you had down on the plantation who was playing the master close, thought they were doing the right thing also, right? But they weren't. So all I'm saying is, it's about some self-survival, and that's what people do sometimes because they don't lack the vision to see that their actions are hurting us as a whole.
One last question, brother. I think the brother's name was Cortez Bryant, an NFL player. I was going to look it up, but I'm just ask anyway. I think it's Cortez Bryant. He said, I love black people, but I got to feed my family. So that seems to be the you know, what everybody goes to, man. I love y'all, but I got a wife and kids at home, and I gotta pay these bills. So how do you feel about us having to pay bills versus our liberation?
I understand that. I understand that totally, man, as a family man myself. But at the same time, you know, it's 45 million black folks out here. There's going to be some folks, by whether it's age, whether it's responsibility, or family responsibility, they can't support like some other folks can. So, you know what? I can't make a decision for another man. You know, they got to look themselves in the mirror. They got to have peace with God and have peace with some of the decisions they make. I say, you know, that's them, you know, and more power to them, but I choose to be on the other side of things.
Thank you, brother. You got any information you'd like to give the people about yourself?
Oh, man, you know, I'm just here to represent, brother. That's it, man. Just, you know, blackout NFL, brother.
I appreciate your time, brother.
Yeah, no worries, brother.
All right, peace. Brother, introduce yourself to the people.
My name is King Chuck. This is my brother Obese, and we represent Jersey.
Yeah, Brick City, Newark, New Jersey. We out here to support Colin Kaepernick.
Follow us on Instagram at Eskimo Brothers, at Midnight Convos.
Definitely.
We live in a dog-eat-dog world, brother. What I want to ask you is, how do you feel about people who are take the route of paying bills, more concerned about paying bills than fighting for the liberation of their people, because they got a wife and kids at home and they can't pay their bills being here today.
I got bills to pay. I got a wife at home. I took the day off to come out here. I'm standing for Kaepernick. And it's not just about Kaepernick. It's about the fact that people giving him a hard time because he's standing up for us, for people that look like me. It's about people giving him a hard time because of the simple fact that he's against police brutality. You understand? So that's why we out here. Yeah, I took a day off.
And people got to be able to manage that, man. Like, ain't no excuses. Ain't no time to make excuses. Ain't no time to think about excuses. You got to manage both of them. If you got a job, all right, figure out how to be there for the people and still maintain your living.
But you know what? Enough is enough. Hashtag Kaepernick. We out here, baby.
All day. Eskimo Brothers.
What do you think about people who say you're being ungrateful for everything that this country provides for you, being that so many immigrants come from overseas over here, they kill themselves coming on banana boats?
Provide, you mean like injustice?
You talking about a country that we built?
You mean like racism?
Like, we built this country.
You mean like slavery?
I wasn't born nowhere else. You was born somewhere else?
No, I was born in New Jersey.
Yeah, I was born in...
Why I got to go back to Africa? What that mean?
I'm American.
Yeah.
All right, so I don't understand that.
Talk to me.
One last question, brothers. Why do you think we live in a culture where people seem to worship all our heroes that are dead, but they condemn the ones that are living? So Tupac was... Hold on, brother. So they hated Tupac while he was alive. They hated Muhammad Ali. They hated, who else? Pretty much all of them. They hate, but as soon as they die, then they worship them. Why do we live in that type of culture?
That's what I was about to say, bro. They was already doing them dirty when they was alive. It took their deaths to be, what's the word, martyrs?
Martyrs.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And I guess when you see stuff like that, it changes people knowing that all your leaders done died and everything. Right now, it's hard for the world to pick up new leaders. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's hard for a young person to look at somebody and be like, all right, I stand for this and that, because they're not taught. There's no history no more. We don't learn, our kids don't learn none of the real history that we have as black people.
And that's why we out here. We here for Kaepernick. Let's give him his flowers while he can still smell them.
My point exactly. I appreciate your time. You want to give any information to the people about yourselves?
Yeah, my name is King Chuck. Follow me at Eskimo Brothers. That's ESKIMO BRRAATHERS at Midnight Convos.
And I'm on Facebook, Raymar Tyree. You can also find us at Eskimo Brothers. And also you can find them at Midnight Convos.
SoundCloud and iTunes, the podcast.
I appreciate your time, brothers.
Thank you.
My name is M. Saidi McLaughlin from WBAI. I do a sports talk show called Sports Qualified. This is
Basir M. Chowie. I'm at WBAI also. I do a program called Education at the Crossroads.
So, we are here because we believe in the fact that not only that Kaepernick has decided to do what he has to do, that other people need to know the real history in terms of the civil rights struggle, and we also need to magnify this, and we also need to tell these corporations that what they've been doing to us for so long that it's time for them to stop. Your question.
The question, one of the main questions I've been asking everybody today that seems kind of strange, either last year or the year before last, Muhammad Ali passed away. It seems as if the whole world stopped for Muhammad Ali. They praised him. President Obama gave a speech. People of all communities had good things to say about Muhammad Ali. Now, when we have heroes that are deceased, it always seems as though everybody loves them. Whether it's Tupac, whether it's Muhammad Ali, whether it's Malcolm X, whether it's Martin Luther King, when they're dead, they worship them. But when they're alive, they hate them. So we have a situation with Colin Kaepernick right now, who's alive, who's pretty much doing the same thing these brothers did, fighting for injustice, but the same thing they're praising the dead ones for, they're condemning the people who are alive for. Why do we live in a culture like that?
No, we don't live in that culture. That culture has determined when they decide for us to worship our heroes. We have been out here long enough. We are better than the $3.5 billion Negro. Okay, we have the money to do that, and it's time for us to stand up, own our means of production, and begin to give our people what they need to have all of a sudden. Have you noticed that all the people now writing films about the 60s and everything happen to be white people?
Yes.
Why is that?
Yeah, you know, the other thing is that we have to remember why Muhammad Ali was revered finally after his boxing career was over. We have athletes who have paid a serious price and they've never recovered. Tommy Smith, John Carlos, Craig Hodges. Those are three names that a lot of people won't even really remember. Now you can go to the National Museum of African American History and Culture and you can see a statue of Tommy Smith and John Carlos, but they've never been supported in the way that they need to be supported, and they're still alive. And Craig Hodges, who was an NBA player who stood up, he was whitelisted by the NBA and never played again.
And the Muslim brother who refused to, you know, also do the same thing, who was on the, I think it was
Denver,
from Milwaukee.
Mahmoud Rauf, yeah.
Same thing. So now that it seems that we're in a period where we can, I guess maybe people just decided to erupt. Enough is enough. And so it is time for us to stand up, do the right thing, and begin to not feel that others can define our struggle for us.
And the whole thing is we have to keep struggling. You know, we can't forget. People come out for a demonstration and it's like an event, and tomorrow people will forget. This has to be an ongoing struggle, and we have to make sure that Colin Kaepernick is taken care of.
What do you think about people who feel as though, because they're so overwhelmed with finances in this country, and they feel as though paying bills is more important than fighting for the liberation of their people because they have a family to feed, so, you know, they ain't got time for stuff like this?
What are they feeding their family?
Yeah.
What are they buying with their money? Okay, it's talking about priorities. We can buy $500 sunglasses, we can buy $400 Air Jordans, and we can't take at least 20% of that money and put it into a positive fund for our people? Come on now. They ain't that strained. They decide when to pay them bills, if they pay them bills. So you decide, maybe I won't buy those sneakers. Maybe I'll contribute to my child's whatever. Maybe I'll go to the PTA meeting that night.
I mean, the other thing we have to understand that freedom ain't free. It never has been and never will be. Back during the Garvey movement, people used to go ahead and take their pennies and they put their pennies together. They were able to go ahead, buy houses, buy buildings, go ahead and create institutions. I mean, this was 100 years ago. So now, I mean, in terms of the money, African people in North America have a gross domestic product of over $1.2 trillion. $1.2 trillion. We can't take money to go ahead and do what we need to do.
And speaking of Marcus Garvey, August 17th was his birthday.
Right.
How many of us? How many of us? What were we doing on August 17th? All right? We need to think about our priorities. White people own more of what we do in our history than we do.
That's true.
And it's only when they sanction it, then we decide to own it. But we really don't own it. They can play our music 25 years after, and they still get the money for our songs that we didn't get paid for. Why are people listening to Motown now?
One last question, and I appreciate your time. I heard a brother say the other day, a brother was talking about how all the NFL owners are white, but 70% of the players are black. And somebody responded to him by saying color doesn't matter. It seems as though every time we say things like there's no pictures of Jesus being black or there's no black owners, they always have that phrase, color doesn't matter. What do you think about?
No, that's what the white people say.
That's what the white people say.
The white people say color doesn't matter.
We don't say that. Look at what you got on. Look at what we have on. Color does matter every day. Look at all of this. Color does matter. It's just that we've got that post-traumatic slave syndrome that will allow somebody else to define and own who we are.
I appreciate your time. I really do. Tell the people one more time your information so they can, you know.
WBAI 99.5 FM on your dial, streaming live 24/7 and on the web. My name, M. Saidia McLaughlin.
And my name, Basir M. Chowie.
Thank you.
Peace to you and yours, Brother Red Pill. We are out here at the United with Kaepernick rally, all right, in front of the NFL headquarters. I caught up with my guy right here. Introduce yourself.
I'm G-Rock7, better known as on Facebook, on Instagram. Peace and blessings.
No doubt. Let me know, bro, how do you feel about this whole rally that's taking place? I know it's a lot of numbers out here, a lot of people came out. What are your sentiments about this whole event?
Well, I just hope it's not a rally, just another rally. I hope people really wake up and take a stand more than a knee, because they see what's going on a daily basis. I mean, if the news is gonna cover what they cover, but we know really what's going on. And basically, as you were saying earlier, brothers got to really come together and wake up, because it's that time. Like, it's more than sports, right? This is life right here, And rest in peace, Dick Gregory.
There's a lot of different nationalities out here, and as I was listening to the speakers come up, there was a little, there were agendas being inserted into this rally today. How do you feel about the multiple agendas that are being thrust upon the agenda that we are familiar with, which is our plight, police brutality, and things of that nature? How is your feeling about other groups coming along, throwing their agenda on top of what it is that we're doing?
Well, we got to heal us first before any other agendas take place. You have to have that order. Us as blacks and gods and goddesses, we have to heal each other first before anything comes to play. And that's how I feel. We really, I'm not really for the rally type, and because we here today, and then everybody seems like they forget about it tomorrow and whatnot. We really got to step up and really make this a everyday thing when we wake up and be mindful of it. Don't wait till something happened to you. For everybody to feel your pain. This is everybody's pain,
Let me ask you a question, brother. So I think an NFL player by the name of Cortez Bryant recently said,
they need to get rid of him.
I love black people, but I gotta feed my family.
Right.
Now that's not just his sentiment. That's a majority. Now, I don't want to say majority, but a lot of people feel that way. Like, damn, I understand that. I understand the struggle, but I got so many bills. I got 5 kids. I got child support.
Sacrifice.
Okay, good. Good.
And that's another problem with us. We don't know how to sacrifice. I'm not watching no NFL. I'm not watching no football. And it seems like that's our problem. Like, it's like we don't know when to sacrifice. We feel that it's a need. It's not a need. Especially somebody is blatantly disrespecting you. And you're going to support them? Like, we got to cut that out. And, support people that supporting you. Support organizations that supporting you.
Do you feel as though the average person, let's say making $40,000, $50,000 a year, feel as though it's the black celebrities or rich black people's job to make change or invest in the community? Do you think that there's too much pressure on the blacks who have money versus the everyday blacks who just are making $40,000, $50,000?
I think it got to start in the hood. It got to start with family. I'm not even looking at them.
Right. Okay.
Because they're gonna continue being what if they have, they gonna want more. Right. It got to start with home. With black men, black women, and kids. Schools. We got to fix it at home. I'm not even looking at them.
Got it.
They're not even looking at us. Only time they looking at us is when they want our money. And that's the problem. Facts.
Any questions for the brother?
Pretty much.
You want to give the people your contact information one more time if you want them to holler at you.
Well, I'm on Facebook, GROC7, GROC7, and I just have a real funny page, but I have a whole lot of enlightenment, and I support my people. Facts.
I appreciate it, brother. Peace.
Man. Peace and blessings.
Yanni, how you doing? Good to see you.
It's good to see you as well.
I want a quick question for you. It seems kind of strange because about a year ago, Muhammad Ali passed away, and I watched pretty much the whole world stop. Obama gave a speech. Everybody, gave him his praise. And we have a situation where we often praise our heroes that are dead. Tupac, they praise him when he dies. When he's alive, they hated him. Muhammad Ali, they hated him when he was alive. Martin Luther King, same thing. But when they die, they praise him. So we have a situation with Kaepernick where he's doing similar things like Muhammad Ali, and they're condemning him while he's alive. Why do we live in a culture where we praise the dead and condemn the living?
Brother, you are so woke, and you could probably help me answer that question because I truly don't know. I'm here to praise him. I'm here to help him bow down, to bow down with him. I think that it is a time where young brothers like you should rise up and let it be known that it's time to start praising these young heroes. It's time to start bigging them up because right now we can change the world. We can be that generation that stops and decides, no, we're going to praise the people that are praising and standing for us. So I stand with him, I stand with you, and I thank you for even noticing that. I think that's amazing, and I think that it's people like you that represents that whole millennial movement that we should talk about. People that are woke, people that understand that it's your turn and it's your time to make a difference. You know, I heard a saying once that it's either you have a seat at the dinner table or you're on the menu. And I think that you are definitely at the dinner table, so it's all about now, what are you going to say that you're at the dinner table? You have a platform, you have a mic, you have a camera. Keep doing what you're doing. Appreciate you.
Appreciate your time, sister.
No problem.
Thank you. All right.
I see you and yours, brother Red Pill out here, repping that Know the Ledge. We are here with a certified, bona fide legend, my good brother Chi Ali. Peace.
Peace, Lord. How you feeling?
All is well, man. I'm excited to see you out here with the God My Son.
Y'all here too. You know, we all here. That's what's up.
You already. I want to touch on the power of words real quick, right? During today's speech, I heard a lot of people say white supremacy, and even through the whole Charlottesville fiasco, that word was almost inundated in our lexicon. I never heard the word white supremacy used so many times in mainstream media. What we want to know is, because you're a wordsmith and you know the power of words, you know how to bring words to life, I identify what I'm seeing as white fragility and white inferiority. Our people are calling it white superiority. We're under the mindset that that's giving it more power. So as a wordsmith, can you briefly touch on the words of power and how misusing them could be wrong?
I mean, words is very mighty and powerful. For words you can't take back, and sometimes words can cut oftentimes deeper than actions. Because as brothers, you know, we may fight. That shit happens. We men. You know what I'm saying? But certain things you could say, you can't take back. Like you could say sorry, but it's like if I say something about, if we grew up together and I say something about your moms, you're gonna be like, yeah, my mom's fed you, my nigga. Like, how could you even utter those words? So words is very sharp. And I mean, as far as the whole white supremacy, I mean, that's where they, at a time, I guess they felt they reigned supreme, and I guess that's where they choose to be again. And you know, it's sad that in today's day and time that people still have that ignorant mind state to really think that as a people, we are, any group is really inferior just because of the color of their skin, or because they might have crooked eyes or whatever, because they have a vagina. Like, that shit is so ignorant. It's like the ignorance is beyond talking. And you know, as far as with brother Colin Kaepernick, we stand with him. I mean, what people don't understand, I don't think, is nothing happened to his kids. His kids is fine. You know, he's all right. If he never plays again, he's probably gonna live better than most of us. Him and his family. So him taking a knee, not only did he sacrifice a lot, but he showed the courage. And I know for all the other NFL players that's not here, y'all need to be here. Y'all need to stand with them. If y'all stand together, it will happen quicker, because together there is no league without us. You feel what I'm saying? And it's like at the end of the day, that man didn't commit no crime. You know what I mean? He's not standing up for a flag which symbolizes a system that's been putting his foot in our ass since we got here, and still to this day. So why? I mean, ain't no Jewish person gonna stand up with a Nazi flag. So why would we want that brother to stand up to that when you see what's happening to us? I really don't understand that, and the fact that, pardon me, other brothers aren't standing with him, to me is very disturbing. And for the brothers like Ray Lewis, like, you a coon nigga, like straight up. It's one thing, I'm not saying you have to agree with him, but say nothing. You speaking against the brother. It's like, come on, you a dancer nigga, man. You know, when the revolution comes, if it ever does come, you know, some of the ones that look like me and you is gonna be the first to go, man.
You already.
Well, you're a part of this hip hop culture. So one of the, you remember the song Cream, Wu-Tang, Cash Rules Everything Around Me. it seems as though the coons got the bread. So the younger people look at the coons with the bread and they like, maybe that's the formula to win in this country. What would you tell the young people looking at these coons cooning on TV, but they seem like they winning because they got the bag at the end of the day?
I mean, I would say, first of all, the people getting the real big bag don't look like me and you. That's a fact. I mean, if you take NFL owners, NBA owners, baseball owners, record label owners, if they can afford to give LeBron $20 million and Kyrie $20 million and Kevin Love $20 million,
they making $3 million.
He making the money. You know what I mean? So that's what you got to look at. And at the end of the day, money ain't everything, man. It's like, it took me a long time to realize that, but now that I have children, it's like if someone offered me $200 million to take my kid, I'd be like, get out of here, man. What are you talking about? It wouldn't even be nothing to think about. So that shows me that my kids mean more than money. So money ain't everything. You know what I'm saying? They can take your money. Money, you got to represent something. Make the money. Don't let the money make you. Money, I hate when people say that money's everything, women and men, because at the end of the day, it's nothing. That shit is paper. All it can do is make your life easier and buy you some stuff. That's it. That's it.
What we're seeing taking place nowadays, I call it a renaissance. But for those who are really looking, there's a street movement taking place right now with brothers such as yourself becoming, you know, the face of, you know, the movement, waking up. You know what I mean?
For me, a lot of my involvement, I mean, I've always was involved to some degree, but you know, I did 12 years in prison, so you see so many injustices and with people that really don't count. Like, the people locked up, they don't really count to us right now. You know, the things that they go through and experience. So when you start seeing those injustices up close and personal, it makes you want to take a stand, especially when you see it at a time when maybe you close to going home. So you want to go home, so you can't really voice your opinion like that. Or you know what I mean? Because you've been locked up 11 years and you got a family who needs you, a wife, kids, and you got other bigger objective. But at the end of the day, now that we both on the 50-yard line, now I could take my stand where really, you know, you can't send me to the box and fuck up my date. You know what I'm saying? So now it's at least we're a little more on the 50, both on the 50-yard line. You know, so it's just being in a position where you have a little more power, and it's never about being a coward, but it's about sometimes being smart. You know, if you outmanned and outarmed, sometimes you can fight like a warrior to the death, or sometimes it might be, oh, we might need to retreat, regroup, and think of a scheme and a plan to get our shit together. You know what I'm saying? So just be cognizant of everything, my peoples. You know.
I want to say thank you, King. You know what I mean? Yes. Keep doing what you do. All right. We're gonna be there. Peace to the God. Catch your shirt. Yeah. All right. Salute.
Peace. Mike, good to have you back on here. The people definitely enjoyed that last interview we did, my brother.
No doubt.
I want to ask you, my brother, it was either last year Muhammad Ali passed away, or was the year before last year, right? Last year, the world, I've been asking people this, the world seemed to stop. Everybody seemed to praise, give Muhammad Ali his props. It seems as though we always give our heroes their props when they're dead.
That's what we do.
When they're alive, they hate them.
Let them smell the roses.
When they're alive, we in America doesn't give them it. Tupac, Malcolm X, Muhammad Ali. What is about our worship of the dead and condemning the living?
Of the dead is that when you're dead, they don't feel you as a threat anymore. When you're alive and you're able to mobilize and you're able to continue to move people, they are threatened by that reality. They don't acknowledge your greatness until you're passing, because before you pass, the fight that you're fighting, they don't want to admit is the right fight to fight. You understand what I'm saying? So they never glorify you while you fighting the fight, because you're fighting against the system, and that's what it takes. It takes for you to fight against the system to be able to make history. So you're never going to be historical until you challenge what is already known. Until you challenge what they try to tell you is right, till your moral compass doesn't agree and you're willing to put everything on the line. So for some strange reason, we only celebrate, and it's only us, blacks. minorities in this country because we always fighting against injustice that they try to tell us is justice. So that's why they don't celebrate us in life, because they don't want to tell you that you're right. While you fighting against them, they don't want to tell you you're right. But then when you die, and then it moves the world to acknowledge what you've done and what you've been saying, just like our greatest artists and everything. They never notice their greatness until they're no longer here. So unfortunately, that's just a trend that we seem to follow and we've got comfortable with.
If I'm a street dude, Mics, and I hear you talk, I like everything you kicking, but I say, yo, Mics, listen, I got about 3 hustles, I got 5 kids, I feel what you're saying, but if I go out there with you doing what you do with all that protesting shit, I jeopardize what I got going on at home. So I'm not involving myself in any of that. I got to worry about home first. What would you say to a brother that has that type of mentality?
What I would say to a brother that has that type of mentality is that you already lost the war. The reality of the situation is what you're doing in the streets is perpetuated by what's going on in the system. The fight, you have to do what you do in the streets because the system won't support you and give you an opportunity in ways. Your kids are basically going to have to do the same thing that you're doing because you're not doing anything to change the cycle. Your son is going to see you and believe that's the only way to be successful. So you have to make a decision. Is that what you're doing right now more important to you, or is your child's life more important to you? Is the legacy that you leave behind, is your bloodline more important? Because every move that I make, I know that I'm not going to benefit from any of the work that I do, but I know that my kids will. You know, Dr. King and Malcolm, they didn't get the benefit from none of the work they put in, but their kids are able to benefit from it. Rosa Parks wasn't able to benefit, but her kids and her grandchildren and the people that came after her were able to benefit. So you have to make a moral decision. What is worth more to you? I understand that right now you have to do what you have to do, but you have to understand why you have to do that. Because communities where blacks and brown people live are not given the same opportunities as our white counterparts. You don't have intergenerational wealth. We all start from zero. We come out poor and we usually die poor. So if you're not trying to change that cycle and you're just trying to go along and get along, and if that's your mentality, then I can't fault you for that. But I'm just here for something bigger.
Go ahead. Take the money.
I heard the Stay Woke piece that you did earlier. Powerful, very powerful. Let's talk about the power of words. Over the past few weeks, we've been hearing the term white supremacy in media, mainstream media, more than I've ever heard it before. Knowing the power of words and knowing how dominant words are as a wordsmith yourself, we begin to identify what we're witnessing as white inferiority and white fragility. We don't see anything superior taking place. So I want to know from you, what is the power of words, and should we be redefining that lexicon? Should we as a community redefine white supremacy, because we know that we give power to the words that we speak?
That's a very good point. And I agree with you, but we have to realize is you have to speak the language of the people that's listening. So before you can retrain them, you have to train them to something. You got to say, this is what this been acknowledged as, but now we no longer going to acknowledge that. Now we're going to call it white fertility. So and I appreciate that, and that's how we should do. We speak. We are very innovative people. That's what we do. We are the people who made America. So as we continue, we know that this is a name that they give it, and that's what we've been calling it. So it's up to you, brothers like yourself, brothers like myself, who know that there are power in words, to start utilizing it and say, we don't call it white supremacy, we call it white inferiority. So because there's nothing superior about what we're seeing. That's a beautiful terminology, and people will grasp onto that. And people will continue to grasp onto that, and then they will start to realize this inferiority. And then they would start to act different, and they would not want to be a part of nothing that we label inferior. So that's a beautiful message, and I appreciate that. And I will utilize it, brother, because it's about each one teach one. We learn every day. Every day that we don't learn something and we don't grow, that we dying. You know what I'm saying? So it's about evolution. So let's continue. Let's push that narrative. It's not white supremacy. It's white inferiority.
Mics, do you think the everyday black person out here making 40, 50,000 is depending too much on the blacks such as Diddy or whoever that's out there that they call getting it to make change or to invest in the black community? So when they see them not doing anything, they criticize them. but they feel as though they can't make change on their level. Do you feel as though that's a problem in our community?
Of course it's a problem, because everyone feels that they're not strong enough, that their word doesn't matter, and what they do doesn't really count. And people don't understand that when you look at mass mobilization, when you look at any change in America, it's come because a bunch of one people came together. You know, a bunch of one persons decided that they, at the same time, that they were going to do one thing at the same time. So one person and another one person doing the same thing that a million other people do at the same exact time is so much more powerful than you not doing anything. If everybody had that mind state, then nobody would be doing anything. So we got to understand that there are people who believe what you believe in. There are people who are willing to stand up for what you believe in. You just have to be where they are to identify your allies. And if you are not present and you are not moving in accordance with those people, then you make the community and you make the unity look weaker. Every one of us is the key to our unity.
I appreciate your time, brother. You let the people know how to get at you.
You can get me, my son NY General, on Instagram. You can follow me on Twitter at my son NYSONNE. You can follow me on Facebook, my son Linen LINEN. You can stay woke. I'm gonna put it out tomorrow.
Bye.
Yes, sir.
All right, brother. Thank you. Peace.
I'm not doing no Dolce & Gabbana ads. All right.
Peace, family. Peace to you and yours, brother Red Pill. I'm here with the lovely, intelligent, energetic, charismatic Simone Sanders. She just lit the stage up earlier, and she's about to light the channel up. So, thank you. Greetings.
Greetings and salutations. Thank y'all for coming out. The coalition appreciates you. This was a group effort today.
Definitely. That's why we had to be here. Brother Rich.
I definitely appreciate what you do for us and how you represent us on TV. A couple of quick questions. I know you got to get out of here. Why does it seem, though, last year, I've been telling everybody, last year we worshiped Muhammad Ali when he passed away. We seen Obama give a good message for him. People all over the world seemed to stop. It seems as though we worship the people that are dead. Muhammad Ali, Tupac, Malcolm, Martin, when they die, we worship, we love them, we love them, we love them, we love them. We wear shirts all the time, but when they're alive, they seem to be a threat. Why do we live in a culture that worships the dead and is threatened by the living?
You know, as some people say, you don't know what you got till it's gone. And I think that is the truth in the case of all of these greats that you just mentioned that we've lost recently. But what I loved about today was that this coalition got together. Folks came out here in New York outside the NFL headquarters because we want to stand for something right now. Folks had on Colin Kaepernick shirts. They were wearing his jersey. But folks also had on T-shirts honoring and memorializing and talking about the people that we have lost to police brutality. Sandra Bland, Trayvon Martin, Michael Brown, even those names that we don't know that aren't as popular. Thanks. So that, I think, is what we should take from today.
And I did hear a brother specifically come up there and say, we are here to celebrate Kaepernick while he's alive. So he put that out there, so yeah.
We're very intentional.
Yes.
The NYPD Police Union put out a video today saying that blue racism is just as bad or worse than racism. How do you feel about that? Because it seems like every time we complain about something, Black Lives Matter. No, all lives matter. You're doing this to us. Oh no, black on black violence. Them saying blue racism, even there's a Blue Lives Matter law.
It's a law that was passed by Trump.
What do you think about that?
So what I'll say is this. I think police officers put their lives on the line in communities across the country, communities right here in New York City, communities where I'm from, every single day. And the majority of officers are doing an amazing job. We had a brother who was an officer from the New York Police Department that stood up there with us today, someone who has challenged the police department as a current officer because he wants the department to be better, because he believes in what he's doing. So I think police officers have a really hard job. But I also know, and we cannot ignore, that many people have lost their lives in the hands of police officers. Yes. It's a pattern, and these people also happen to be black or brown. We have to do something about that. So I do not believe there's such a thing as blue racism, as though I also don't believe there's such a thing as reverse racism. Those things just do not exist. That is not actual nor factual. So I think what's really important here is education, is that we speak candidly about racism and white supremacy in this country. America has yet to reckon with this history of white supremacy, and that is why we have a lot of the issues we have today. So we have to call it on the carpet, call it out when we see it, and actively work to bring our coalitions together. But we also got to be willing to stand up and shake a few tables and get a little rough and rowdy, and that's what we did out here today.
Last question. We as a community know the power of words, being of the hip-hop generation on its 44th anniversary. We've heard this term white supremacy lambasted over the past few days. I've never heard white supremacy that much in the media as I've heard.
White supremacy done gone mainstream.
It done gone mainstream. We want to redefine the term. We want to ask you the power of words. People are saying white supremacy, thereby inferring to the uninitiated that there's something supreme about what we're seeing. Because they're saying the Confederacy, and then they're using white supremacy in the same sentence, and we know that what we're seeing, especially in Charlottesville, was white fragility. Okay? The fact that these men were running around, you know, in a very fragile state. You know what I mean?
So let me be clear. Words do matter. And because words matter, we have to call it what it is.
Yes.
White supremacy is scary to people.
Yes.
Talking about white supremacists is actually not mainstream. But folks like myself, Angela Rye, Bakari Sellers, the network of CNN have made space for us to have these conversations on a national, international platform. We have to use the words white supremacist, white supremacy, because literally that is what these folks are calling themselves. And secondly, that is what this country was built on. The idea that there's something about white culture, quote unquote, that is better, that needs to be preserved. You heard the President of the United States talk about they're trying to take away our history. They're trying to take away our culture. My question is, who is the they and what culture are you talking about? So that is why we have to use white supremacy. We cannot redefine a thing because we haven't even reckoned with it yet. So there's a lot of work that still has to be done. Look, I've been saying over the last week, in Germany, there are no monuments erected to Nazi generals. Their children do not go to schools named after Hitler. But in America, in the United States of America, every single day, our children play in parks, they walk down streets, and they attend schools named after generals of the Confederacy. Folks who took up arms against the government, who in modern day times, if they did that, would be considered treasonous terrorists. And they did that because they thought it was their right to own people that looked like you and I. That is the history of this country. That is what we have to talk about, and that's why you have to call it to the carpet every single day, and why we can't rename the thing just yet.
Thank you, sis. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
I appreciate you. Keep doing your thing. All right.
Peace, family. This is Brother Rich from UGR, urging all my viewers and subscribers to help support the channel by donating just $1 to the UGR PayPal account. We appreciate the viewership and support, and we understand the power of $1. If you benefit in any way, shape, or form, we ask that you donate $1, whether it be monthly, bi-monthly, quarterly, or yearly, so that we can build our brand to compete with the NBCs, the MTVs, and the Foxes of the world. I figure since Kanye could ask Mark Zuckerberg for $1 billion, I can ask my subscribers to donate $1 so I could make the best possible content possible. The main objective of this channel is to inspire you to become the greatest version of yourself. So hopefully throughout the years of you watching this program, you have been inspired to become the greatest version of yourself. If you would like to donate, you could go to www.paypal.com and send a donation to richandmerit7@yahoo.com. Thank you and enjoy the rest of your program.